Hello, I am David Bulow, Director of Educational Programs at Performative, the online community for corporate finance, accounting, treasury, and related professionals. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's webinar entitled Cloud Finance Ecosystem, the key to a successful cloud finance and accounting strategy. Cloud technologies provide business running accounting and ERP software with new options to save money and operate more efficiently. Just a few advantages include access from anywhere, faster development, lower hardware costs, and options to pay as you go. Your ERP needs to be fed by many systems and needs to be fed into many systems, from e-commerce to CRM to supply chain to planning systems and beyond. Thus, the ecosystem that surrounds your ERP needs to be well thought out and robust. At this event, you will learn about what most mid-size, large, or growing enterprises need to know about how to make your cloud ERP a success as more than simply a system of record. Done properly, you set the stage for all areas of your business to move forward, not just the accounting system of record. You will also hear about how integrated apps are coming to ERP platforms or are already there, just like on your cell phone. During this webinar, industry experts will discuss what you need to look for in an ERP ecosystem, how to evaluate a vendor's partner ecosystem, best practices when implementing a new business process that crosses platforms, and how to integrate legacy and other cloud applications as well as industry-specific application to a cohesive set of business tools. Just a few items here before we get started. For those who are returning, I want to thank you, and those who are new, Performative is the largest and fastest growing online resource for senior level corporate finance, accounting, and treasury professionals. It's a uniquely online peer network with direct subject matter expert advice. It's all completely noise-free. Check it out at performative.com. Today's presentation and a recording of this webinar will be sent out to all attendees within 24 hours of the event. The presentation is already posted on the website at performative.com/resources for you to download or share with your colleagues. For those who would like CPE credits, you need to answer all 3 polling questions during the event, and you should have pre-registered for CPE credit. If you have any CPE questions, please email cpe@performative.com. We encourage you to ask questions using the question box within your GoToWebinar panel. If we are not able to get your questions answered, we will have them sent directly to the speakers to follow up with you after the webinar. You'll be asked to take a short survey, a 60-second survey at the end of this webinar. We'd appreciate your feedback so we can continue to deliver you great content and improve as we go. After participating in this event, you'll be able to understand how cloud ERP systems can interact with the systems they are dependent on and vice versa. Learn best practices on ERP financial system integration and the primary considerations therein. And gather insights about application ecosystems for ERP. And now I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Raghu, who is the Senior Director of Business Development at NetSuite's Developer Program. Raghu brings to NetSuite over 13 years of experience working with partner ecosystems and product management. At NetSuite, he played a pivotal role in launching the NetSuite Developer Network to recruit partners, developers, and entrepreneurs to build on the software-defined networking platform. Raghu currently focuses on the rapid influence of e-commerce, CRM, and social media, assessing how they are transforming relationships between customers and corporations in real time. Prior to joining NetSuite, he spent 2 years at Salesforce.com, where he played an important role in expanding the AppExchange footprint to ERP applications and building a business development team to grow the ISV partner community to more than 500 members. Raghu also held various strategy and partner positions at PeopleSoft, SAP for over 8 years, where he was responsible for creating internet service vendor channel programs to penetrate new markets and generate incremental revenue for the company. Raghu holds a master's degree in computer science from the University of Alabama. And with that, I'll turn it over to Raghu.
All right. Thank you, guys. I want to thank all of you for taking your time out to attend this webinar. I want to thank Performative for inviting NetSuite to host this webinar. I'd like to thank our customers, Mitchell International, and partners Del Boomi and Piango for participating in our panel discussion. What I'd like to do today is to give you a brief overview of cloud computing. What are some of the trends, some of the benefits our customers have seen, and how does a suite-based approach to cloud works, and what to look for in a cloud solution, and what to look for when you're looking at a vendor, what sort of qualification criteria you should use to choose a vendor, and also touch upon partner applications and ecosystems and how a platform provided by the vendor could help foster these applications. And then we'll host a panel discussion to share some experiences from our partners and our customers. So I just want to give a brief overview of NetSuite. You know, we've been around for the last 14 years. We are over 1,900 employees. We are used by more than 16,000 organizations worldwide. We are sold heavily into manufacturing, retail, wholesale, e-commerce, and e-tail. We are, we have offices across, 10 plus countries, and we're used by across 100 countries. Our cloud ERP suite serves both all the way from Pitney Bowes to Box.net, which is the latest and greatest startup in the Valley, and we've been recognized by a wide variety of industry organizations for our products and for the services we offer to our customers and partners. So just to give a brief of what is cloud computing. Cloud computing is often referred simply as the cloud. It's the delivery of on-demand computing resources, everything from applications to data centers over the internet on a pay-per-use basis. I mean, cloud computing really is a delivery of computer services, whether it's software, storage, infrastructure, or any other tools that's required to run your business delivered via the web 24/7 on a pay-as-you-go model. I mean, these services can be accessed wherever your employees are situated and across all devices, whether it's your smartphone, tablet, PCs, or laptops. Today, we have a wide variety of cloud providers. We have NetSuite that provides you with applications to run your business. We have Box.net that helps you with your storage, and we have Amazon to provide you with computing power. So the cloud applications have proliferated. I mean, in traditional business, if you contrast that with how traditional businesses work today, that you would have to buy the software, then install it, buy the database, buy storage, buy all the networking components, and then you'd have to deploy resources to manage all this, administer this, monitor this, and maintain this on a day-to-day basis. And this, in a sense, becomes very cost prohibitive. With cloud computing, you eliminate pretty much all those headaches because you're not managing any of that. That's the responsibility of an experienced vendor. The shared infrastructure in the cloud means it works like a utility. You only pay for what you need. Upgrades are automatic, and scaling up or scaling down in the cloud is easy depending upon how your business conditions change. So let's go into detail about what some of these benefits are. Before that, let's just talk about some adoption trends. Right? So last year, the Cloud Accounting Institute did a survey and asking, a lot of the companies out there, do they use any cloud solutions today? And 52% of the respondents said that they use cloud in some way, shape, or form. And for 2013, it's jumped to 75%. So it's a 50% increase year over year in terms of companies trying to embrace the cloud. And if you narrow that down to a cloud software as a service for accounting solutions in the future, you see 83% of the respondents polled are in the process of either looking at a cloud accounting software solution, and the number has not changed from 2013, from between 2012 to 2013. So the adoption of cloud is accelerating, especially at the back office. So clearly, cloud computing has a variety of benefits, And most importantly, it's economical, right? People ask me all the time, why is the cloud economical? It is simple. It is because of multi-tenancy. The cloud solutions are based on an architecture called multi-tenancy, where the basic infrastructure, such as network, servers, databases, is shared by all the tenants that sit in the cloud. The closest example to cloud is an apartment complex. Think of it, in an apartment complex, infrastructure such as water, electricity, and gas is shared by all the tenants that live in the apartment, but yet the apartment themselves are safe, secure, private, independent. So that is the power of multi-tenancy, and that is what makes the cloud very economical. Right? Further, it is CapEx free. You only pay as you go. Right? The second interesting feature of cloud is secure. I mean, there are, a recent government survey said there are more than 1 million devices stolen out of airports on every single year. And this can have some serious monetary implications when you have your business data stored on your laptops, right? So, but when everything is stored in the cloud, this data can be accessed no matter what happens to your machine, and your business continuity is not disrupted. The cloud is accessible, right, from anywhere in the globe. Everybody accessing the software, which is a very important point, is on the same code base. Everybody is looking at the same metrics, same operational data, all in real time. This accessibility of cloud fosters increased collaboration and increases productivity among all your employees. The cloud is very reliable, right? We at NetSuite and all the cloud vendors out there publish their uptimes, and we are governed by what we call the SaaS SLA 70 contracts, wherein the vendors guarantee uptimes. We have mirror sites across the world, so do a lot of other vendors. When companies start relying on cloud services, they no longer need to have their own complex disaster recovery plans. Right? The cloud computing providers, they take care of these issues for you, and they do it faster. A recent survey by Aberdeen Group found that businesses which use the cloud were able to resolve issues on an average of 2.1 hours, nearly 4 times faster than businesses that didn't use the cloud. I mean, the cloud is very scalable, right? You can add up users up or down. The second a company needs a bandwidth than usual, a cloud-based service can instantly meet the demands because of the vast capacity of the service remote service. And so, before I get into the financial business process challenges, the other key thing is the cloud is really mature, right? I mean, we have close to, our own ecosystem has 200 partners. We have close to like 1,000 vendors in some way, shape, or form serving different products for different geographies, different verticals, sub-verticals, and micro-verticals. So let's take a look at some of the financial business process challenges. If you're a controller or a CFO or a finance professional, you're under increasing pressure to deliver information faster, more efficiently to both internal and external decision makers. And you have to do this, right, by working with a wide variety of disjointed systems and legacy systems, some of which have not caught up with supporting some new government mandates in their software, right? So we understand the problems faced by controllers and CFOs. So we here at NetSuite hear about them on a day-to-day basis for them trying to deliver information that's accurate to all their constituents by working with a plethora of systems. And so these problems, again, that I have in the list are further complicated if you're running a global company, right? And so we've taken inputs from CFOs based on challenges they've faced, and we've come up with recommendations in building a business suite that serves as a single source of truth, single source of record. So moving on to the next slide, looking at some of the problems mentioned differently over the last, over the last decade or so, if you take a look at the finance department itself, it's evolved from being a back office function to being a strategic operation where other departments feed information in and out. The role of finance is not really about closing just books. I mean, it touches now all major aspects, all major corporate functions, And all these groups are pretty much dependent on finance to provide them with strategic data to run their own division, right? Then it makes sense for pretty much all of these divisions, that work with finance to be looking at the single source of truth, right? So because finance feeds data in and out of these systems, right, it makes sense to have one system of record, one source of truth, where every department is working on the same sort of business processes, looking at the same data, So we said, okay, today we have a hairball solution where we have multiple systems talking to each other. It becomes convoluted and complex to sort of maintain these systems across different releases. And so here at NetSuite, the combination of cloud and the business suite closes the gap. So we have CRM, ERP, e-commerce all sitting in one single data source. And this we think is the model to build applications. And so if you're a CFO, CEO, or a support manager, everybody is looking at the same business process, the same data, so that they can work effectively, they can collaborate, and not only does this model extend to the internal constituents, it also extends to our customers, vendors, and partners. So in an order-to-cash business process, everybody is involved, whether it's a customer, supplier, partner, vendor, and your internal people working on the process. Everybody's looking at the same data, working efficiently, and thereby increasing productivity. So what should you look for in a cloud solution, right? I mean, these are really critical, important things, right? I think first and foremost, what is the vendor, viability? Do they have a cloud track record? Did they build their solution from the ground up? Is architecture multi-tenant? Or is it a hosted solution? Is it an on-premise solution that's acting as a cloud by making it hosted, right? And what are the cloud, and what are the cloud SLA commitments, right? Are these commitments transparent? Are these in the agreements that you sign with the vendor? And this is pretty important in terms of the application and the solution. Can it be customized? Right? I mean, not everybody runs the same business process, right? Everybody has their own secret sauce, right? So can this solution that you have, can it be extended? Can this talk to other systems? Can it pull data from a legacy system? Can it talk to another cloud system? So that is a key element when you look for a cloud solution to run your business. Is it hosted or true cloud? And the other thing that's important is as a provider achieve scale. I mean, can they only serve small customers? Can they serve enterprises? Right? Do they have a range, right, where they can serve all customers across all verticals? It's pretty important. The last one, which is still not given, is that does the cloud vendor have the right set of certifications? Have they gone through the processes? Are their data centers certified? Are there, those are important things that you should look for when you're looking to purchase a cloud solution from a vendor. And so, just going back to honing in on can you customize this? This is critical. I mean, this is a NetSuite model, but it's actually a good guidance for you to take a look at, right? To be able to say, can the software, can you customize it? Can you add your own set of fields, own set of forms? Is it workflow management? Can the workflow management deliver out of the box? Can that be modified? Do they provide you with the tools to modify that workflow management? Are their web services robust enough to be able to talk both inside the firewall, outside the firewall? Can they talk to different partners? Does the solution come with its own set of adapters? I mean, is there a language or where a business analyst can use it to script or modify the existing business logic or add to their own business logic? And does it really come with analytics, right? I mean, you have all this data, right? Can you do reporting out of this, right? And are these reports meaningful, right? And last but not least, this is a very important point where customers spend tons and tons of money, is lifecycle management, right? So we have our own releases, but customers also modify the software we deliver, right? When we upgrade our release from release A to release B, do the modifications the customers made on release A, do they get carried also on release B when the vendor makes the upgrade? And that's a very critical point, and that is a hallmark of cloud solutions, right? Because we guarantee that these upgrades will be carried over. You don't have to recode your upgrades from release over release. So, if you look at cloud vendors, there are Salesforce or Amazon, we all have our ecosystems, and ecosystems are only possible when you have a strong platform underlying the ecosystem. So we have close to 200 partners in our ecosystem. Here's a sample of how these partners help us, right? We have Delboomi, they help us with integrating NetSuite to other third-party systems. We have Avalara, they do sales tax management sitting on top of NetSuite. We have Adaptive Planning, which is embedded in NetSuite. They do forecasting and planning. And we have Piango. They're primarily focused on budgetary control, on governance. And last but not least, we have Concur. So we have a wide variety of partners that sit on top of NetSuite, that sit on top of our platform. It's a rich ecosystem for you to play with, so that your needs are completely met by a cloud vendor and the ecosystem that surrounds the cloud vendor. And this again is key, right? What integration options exist with the application you just purchased from your cloud vendor, right? Can they connect between corporate and business units? I mean, do they have an integration layer, which is very important? Do they have an ecosystem that contains partners that can help you run existing legacy financials at corporate and tie them back into your business units where you deploy other cloud solutions?
Thank you for that, Raghu. We will now be taking our first polling questions. You'll see it on your screen in just moments here. We do ask everyone to participate, even those who are not looking for CPE, as they are statistical in nature. If you are looking to have your CPE credits, remember you must answer all 3 polling questions. This is the first of 3. Also want to take this opportunity to remind everyone to use your question box in the GoToWebinar panel, as this will come up in the Q&A session so we can get your questions to the speakers. And if we don't get them answered, again, we will make sure that they can get to you one-on-one after the presentation is over. So leave this open just for a few more seconds here for everyone to get their answers in, and then we will move on to the panel portion of the presentation. I will be putting it down now, and I thank you for that. Now I'd like to introduce our panel. We have a distinguished panel here, so give me a few minutes to introduce everyone. We have Mike Canna, Piango, who is the CEO of Piango. Mike has over 20 years of professional IT experience, including IBM software engineer, director of development for PeopleSoft, vice president of development for Accutech, and chief technology officer with San Joaquin Regional Transit. Since 2012, Mike has been the CEO of Piango. In addition, Mike lectures at the University of Pacific with over 10 years of nonprofit higher educational experience. Welcome, Mike. We also have Mark Miguel, Director of Transformation at Mitchell International. In keeping with Mitchell's international philosophy of continued improvement, Mark developed NetSuite One World at the company to make a back office a point of competitive advantage. Mark's work helped to transform both the internal and external customer experience by making data transparent via improved reporting and removal of data silos, giving employees clear insight into business operation and providing better, faster service to customers. By consolidating 24 disparate legacy systems, all of Mitchell's international business systems are now cloud-based and tightly connected. Mark has been with Mitchell for 12 years and has held various key management positions in client management, operations, and project management. Prior to Mitchell, Mark worked at Insurance and AIG. Mark has an MBA from St. Mary's College and a BS in Managerial and Agricultural Economics from UC Davis. And lastly, I want to also welcome Lester Vergara. He's Business Development Executive at Del Boomi. Lester comes to Del Boomi with over 20 years of successful SaaS software experience, sales, and sales management experience. Lester spent over 10 years with Oracle and PeopleSoft, selling large, complex ERP, HCM, and supply chain applications, as well as Fusion middleware solutions. His experience also includes various sales positions at Red Prairie and various other places. Lester has a deep understanding of the cloud, application integration, and business process automated best practices. And with that, I'd like to jump right into the panel, and turn it back to Raghu to moderate the panel session.
Thank you. Thank you, David. So I think I want to shoot this first question over to Mark. Mark, what were some of the key challenges that you had with your solutions prior to embracing NetSuite, and how did the cloud help you?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me here. Yes, Raghu, some of the challenges that we had, like was mentioned, I guess, in my bio, we had about 24 disparate systems, and that was a mixture of homegrown and systems, through other partners. We had a lot of those were end of life, and then one of our homegrown systems, which was at the core, was actually a piece of software that was built on something that we actually had to acquire the code to actually run it. So it was fairly resource intensive and expensive to manage. We had some data integrity issues because we had our data kind of spread out over multiple databases. And then there were a lot of manual integrations. We couldn't automate everything because our systems had limitations in flexibility in how they could be integrated. And upgrades were a bit of a challenge. In some of our systems, we actually couldn't even upgrade. So those were a lot of our core challenges kind of in our business system ecosystem at Mitchell.
Thank you, Mark, for that answer. And so the next, I want to throw this question out to Mike, since you had looked at the different cloud vendors before you started building on our platform. So what were some of the evaluation criteria that you used to select our platform to build your application?
Hi, yeah, this is Mike Caniff from Piango. And again, I appreciate the opportunity to jump in here on the panel. Some of the key things, I mean, one thing that, just to kind of add on to what Mark was talking about with upgrades and so forth, is that typically when I've worked with on-premise ERP applications and you're trying to customize those applications and extend the functionality, you have to deal with the upgrade treadmill of applying patches and so forth, and hoping that things do not break when you go through that upgrade process. And so as I've moved into developing my own set of advanced accounting features through Piango, I was looking for an environment where I can add that functionality, and in one sense I'm acting as if I was a corporation or an enterprise, and that I'm going to be adding functionality to an existing financial system. I need to make sure that those updates do not break as they move forward, or that as things move forward and systems are upgraded, that my enhancements, the customizations, are going to be easily ported or maintained. So that was one of the key evaluation criteria. Another thing, of course, that I was looking for is, the world does not necessarily need another general ledger system. There are lots of them out there. NetSuite has a fantastic general ledger system, as well as a variety of other financial products. I was looking to add some additional functionality, and so I needed really a full-featured financial set of applications to build on top of that would also provide or be easy to integrate with, so that the products that I end up developing have a seamless integration in a similar look and feel to the existing application, so that from a user perspective, if you're a financial accountant or whatever, and you don't want to have to jump between systems and manage data in one system and then have to jump over and have to deal with a different set of user interfaces. So that's why those are just some of the evaluation criteria that I looked at when choosing a cloud platform to build on top of.
Thank you, Mike. So I want to, send this question over to Lester. Lester has worked at, large companies, done large implementations at, with on-premise systems, and now as a system integrator, and an integration solution provider, what are some of the things your customers are telling you, or joint customers, in terms of the benefits of moving to the cloud?
Well, a lot of the benefits that our customers as well as our joint customers are achieving are the ability not to have any hardware or software to install or maintain. That's pretty key. You went over that, where you have to go even before you even get to the process of looking at what your business process are, what your ERP is going to do for you. You have to have all this hardware and software installed beforehand, and the benefit of going to the cloud is that's already all there for you. You're really logging in and building those processes right away. The upgrade capabilities moving to the cloud is that it's automatic, both from integration vendors today as well as from all the SaaS providers, is that you no longer have to take time out to plan for that, and really what you're getting is your time to value is much faster because you're not having to install, you're not having to plan for these upgrades, and then your TCO is also much quicker and much better. Your total cost of ownership is lower than what you've seen in the past, and so those are some of the true benefits of moving to the cloud. And one other real key component that's not often mentioned is that in the multi-tenancy environment, one advantage that you do have is that it's a collective environment, and you get the benefits of the group as a whole by able to do what they call, it's kind of a technical term, it's called crowdsourcing, but you're able to take advantage of all the advantages that we're providing for every other customer out there. So we're able to bring that together all at one time. And so those are a lot of the benefits that we're seeing for some of our clients out there.
Yeah, thanks, Lester. So, Mark, let me throw the same question back to you. We have perspective from Lester, from a ISV, right? And what were the key benefits of moving to the cloud compared to your on-premise systems that you had in place?
Yeah, I mean, I would mirror the same comments that both Mike and Lester made. Definitely for us, obviously the business case, the TCO, total cost of ownership, and your return on the investment. And then, we went through a process of making sure the vendors that we chose, because we have in our business system, it's a complete cloud ecosystem. So our HR system, our financial system, and our CRM are all in the cloud. And we had to make sure that all of those systems were a true platform. And there is kind of what I would call a misnomer out there, because cloud is often used as a marketing term as well. So you need to be pretty careful about the vendors that you're selecting, and that they're truly multi-tenant, and that you're truly going to get those benefits. Upgrades for us was a serious concern, and I'd recommend anybody going down this path to do a lot of reference calls and talk to a lot of different companies and folks that are in similar situations, and you will glean a lot of information from that. Because even with systems, whether they're premise-based or cloud-based, or they say they're cloud-based, when you ask people about how their upgrades went, that's pretty telling about how truly multi-tenant a system is. For us, that was key. We were trying to shift resources away from our business system and focus more on our product mix and have a more efficient and easier way to manage our business systems. And the cloud gave us that. Definitely, we eliminated having to have hardware on site. We have to have that for our own software that we provide for folks, but we did not want to have that for our business systems. And, you know, platform flexibility, obviously, that's key for us. The whole crowdsourcing concept, getting the benefits of the other partners and folks that are using the system, that was key for us. And if you have a robust ecosystem like that, you're always going to have that flexibility to extend the system and kind of expand as your business needs expand.
Great, thanks for that answer. Yeah, let me throw this question out to Mike. Mike, what's your advice for anyone looking to make the move? Because I know you advise customers also to make this move.
Right. Well, I think, you know, one key thing that you would have to look at is where you're at in your current on-premise ERP system. I'm kind of assuming that everyone has implemented some level of ERP applications, and assuming that you're kind of getting near an end of life or maybe getting towards the next release upgrade cycle, is to, in a sense, shift. And I think, Raghu, you talked about this with the idea of CapEx, and that instead of having to allocate a lot of money to go through that next upgrade cycle, is shifting more into the idea of leasing the software, and then looking at which vendors can provide the best deal for that move, and then related to all of that is, okay, if we're going to move our ERP system, what other related systems might need to move to the cloud, or if they don't necessarily need to move to the cloud, can we still access the data that is in our legacy systems or our on-premise systems? So we always have to take a look at the complete picture of where all of the corporate level data exists and how easily that can get moved into the cloud.
Thanks, Mike. So Lester, in asking you the same question, right? What is the advice that you would give, right, for anybody looking to make the move, right? And can you color that with the fact that, I think that when you make a move to the cloud, right, you don't necessarily lose all your legacy systems or the data, right? That's a worry customers have. Can you address that also?
Oh, absolutely. I think to prioritize is really what are your true business process requirements, and just go with that, because now there's many solutions out there in the cloud that address those requirements. And a lot of times people think or customers think they need to go all the way to the cloud, but in fact, there's platforms like ours that enable you to integrate back to the on-premise systems. In fact, in most cases, there's usually an on-prem system within your environment that fits your specific niche for something. And when you're making the move, you need to make sure you look at the systems out there that can do that in a fashion that is similar to moving to the cloud, so that the upgrades are maintained and the connections are maintained, so that you don't have that long wait period that you have to go through, that you've had to go through in the past. And so I think those are some of the key components, is that you can move to the cloud, and you can move in steps. You don't have to move all the way. Maybe you move your ERP over, and then some of the ancillary pieces can come over later on, or you can keep those. So it's really understanding what the priorities are and looking at the overall picture of the key components within your organization.
Thank you, Lester. Mark, can you share with us the top things you considered, right, before moving to moving to the cloud, and how you approached it?
Yeah, so I would agree with Lester. Definitely prioritizing what key business requirements or functions that you're moving, and making sure that those are well defined. We spent a lot of time on our business requirements and making sure that those were firmly vetted out. And this is kind of, whether you go into the cloud or not, if you're just making a system change, you really need to understand your business processes, your data, and what you're going to do with your data. And so you need to spend quite a bit of time up front in kind of defining that and making your priority list, because an ERP project especially can be very large in scope, and you can very easily make it much larger than it probably should be. And so that's kind of key in phasing things, and I would say whether it's cloud or not, that is something that you should focus on. As for moving to the cloud, I mean, you definitely need to make sure your data is transportable into whatever system you're going to move it to. And then, obviously, integrations are key. We happen to use Dell Boomi as well, and you know, that was a key point for us, because we do have some premise-based systems that we use that we needed to integrate with, and we need to make sure that those could be easily integrated with the solution that we were deploying.
Thank you, Mark. Mike, I know you have some patents on integration, so can you talk about your experience in integrating cloud and on-premise system, and what's the advice you would give?
Okay. Yeah, one thing to think about on the integration front is, where does the data actually reside? Because corporate level data, as exhibited by several different data breaches over the past few years, is very sensitive. And so you need to make sure that the integration vendor that you work with, or the technology that you use, is properly moving that data between your on-premise legacy system and the cloud-based system as well. I think a key thing to avoid is potentially where data is actually stored in yet a third location, probably in the cloud, but then now you have to look at, from a audit perspective, where is all the data being saved? Is it all under the correct SLA terms of agreement that wherever that data is located? So as Raghu had mentioned, NetSuite, for example, has a very secure data center. Most cloud providers do, and that is something that you will want to review and look at their own audit records in the past. But if you add in yet a third component of where that the data is saying lying in transit somewhere, that could be a potential exposure that you want to look at that's specific to data integration. So ideally, you want to be able to grab data from your legacy systems and move it directly into your cloud-based solution without having any other location for it. And you also want to make sure, you know, that the level of security is in place for anyone who has access to the programs, scripts, databases, etc., of where that data exists.
All right, thanks for the answer, Mike. So I want to thank the panelists, you know, for the insights, sharing your knowledge, right, in terms of embracing the cloud, using the platform to build extensions, and integrating various systems. You know, I think that in conclusion, right, I think that we've seen this at NetSuite, right. There's lots and lots of larger, bigger organizations are considering the cloud for their ERP implementations. I mean, our own customer base, you know, is a testament to that, right. We have large customers that are now embracing the cloud at a much faster click, and cloud solutions do streamline process, and they do improve productivity. I mean, collaboration is a huge key that is is a benefit to the cloud delivers, and then the improved technology and the accessibility of these solutions for at anywhere, anytime, using any device improves productivity greatly. Again, deploying and maintaining a global system is pretty much achievable because the cloud technologies have matured, the integration technologies have matured. It's fairly, it's fairly straightforward to make these processes work in the cloud. whether you're connecting your existing on-premise system to a cloud solution or orchestrating a business process through multiple cloud solutions. I mean, always, you have to do your vendor due diligence, validate the technology, validate the functionality, validate whether they meet your business needs, and validate whether they conform to all the SaaS requirements before you make a decision on purchasing the right cloud provider. David, I want to thank you for organizing this, and if you have any questions, we're open now.
Thank you, Mark and Lester. It's a great panel presentation here. Before we move into the Q&A, we will now launch our second of 3 polling questions. Everyone should be seeing that on your screen here shortly. Again, we ask everyone to answer this as they are statistical in nature, and it helps us get better results. If you do have a question, please use the question box in your GoToWebinar panel, and we will be moving into the Q&A session here in just a few moments. Give everyone a little bit more time to get their answer in, and then we will move right on into the Q&A. I am now going to close down the polling question. Please get it in this next couple of seconds here. And before we move into the Q&A, I just wanted to share the polling questions. Hang on one moment here, and I will bring up the first polling question, and you should be seeing it here on your screen, which is the following is the highest priority area for improvement. Mike, would you like to give any comments on what you see in this?
So, pardon me, I didn't catch the question there.
On the polling questionnaire, which of the following is the highest priority area for improvement? And we had the highest being KPI dashboards analytics as 36%, reporting at 31%, budgeting at 16%, followed by others at 9%, and consolidation.
Okay, well, what I see from that is that KPI or dashboards reporting, they're all related, and so we feel a very high respondent level there. And I think what that points to is that we have a lot of data that are in these ERP systems, whether it's on-premise or cloud. The challenge is how to get actionable results from those systems. And so the better ability to report, to drill down, to be able to just look at summary level data, that becomes key. So I think what's happened over the past 5 to 10 years is that ERP systems have become very good at the kind of blocking and tackling of transaction analysis or transaction processing. We can get all the data into the system. Now the question is how easily can we extract that information and provide information that's beneficial to CFOs, to controllers, etc.
Great. Show the share the results of our second polling question here, and that should be up on the screen in just moments. Here we go. Following on from the first one, it was what areas need most change, and we have 41% at process, 39% technologies were the leaders. Lester, do you see this pretty common in what you have there?
Yeah, we see business process improvement, and then moving to a newer technology. Especially, everyone is real familiar with like a SaaS application such as a NetSuite, but how do you complete a business process when you happen to have another application out there? And that's where really a product like Delboomi comes in. And a lot of companies think they need another type of technology, but really when you're looking for a product, you should look for one that is based on the same exact technology so that the products are complementary to one another. And I want to go back to the first polling question of, analysis, and everyone's looking for data in the newer technology today rather than, having data wait for it overnight or someone that won all the batch runs. The capability is there now to pull it as your processes are going through the different systems or a singular system like NetSuite. That data can be pulled out at the time that it's getting put in. There's ways that you can do that so that you can then report in a more real-time fashion rather than having to wait a day or so. And so those are another trend that we're also seeing, is that you can get that data sooner than having to wait now.
Great. We will now move into the Q&A session. So our first question, and I will send this over to Mark. The first question is, can staff log in from multiple locations at the same time, and how many users at one time can be using the cloud ecosystem?
So I guess the answer is yes. You can log in from multiple locations, and your entire user base can essentially use the system at one time. The only limitation that they have in the system that we have is you can't have the same user credential log in at the same time, because there's security around that, so that if for some reason that credential was hijacked or got out there, that if your user was in there, it would kick one of the users out. So, but there are no limitations, none that we've run into, and even per the specifications of each of the systems that we have, whether it be our CRM or ERP, the entire user base can access the system.
Okay. I will send this.
Quick on that?
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
Okay. Yeah, one of the neat things about cloud-based computing is the ability to scale on demand. And in my experience with higher education, that's a very what I would call bursty demand type of a situation, where we have students that will need to enroll into classes, and they only do that 2 or 3 times a year, and they all jump in at the same time trying to get into classes. So with a cloud-based type solution, the system should be able to handle that burst of activity with lots of people logging in at one time, and then as needed to scale back down for kind of the regular load limit. And that's something that is just very difficult to manage in an on-premise environment.
Great. Okay, I'll hand this one over to Lester. What are the risks that someone should be looking at when hosting critical business information, the financial data in the cloud, and how do you minimize this risk? If you could kind of give a little color on that, we'd really appreciate it.
Well, I think when you're looking at the cloud, you want to make sure you're looking at cloud providers, and I think Raghu mentioned this earlier, is that all the true SaaS providers are already vetted with strict rules that are in the market. SAS 70 is one of those. And so you want to make sure you're looking at a true cloud provider. And a lot of times there's products out there that will say they're in the cloud, but they're not really in the cloud. They may be hosted somewhere. And so those may not be as secure as vendors like a NetSuite or a Dell Boomi that has to go through the strict security requirements that are out there. That's one of them. And just to make sure that as the data is going, that it's fully encrypted and that all the controls are in place when you're doing your evaluation.
Great. I think I have time for one more question here very quickly. Someone asked, if your cloud-based ecosystem has multiple applications that don't necessarily reconcile, how do you kind of deal with this challenge, or what have you seen in that area? And if you could take that, Mark, that'd be great.
Sure, and just to go back to the last question, you know, like what Lester was saying, if you go with solutions like Mitchell has to be very aware of, you know, because we hold credit card information, so there's PCI compliance, and if you have an HR system, there's HIPAA compliance. So all of these cloud-based or the ones that are, you know, I guess the leaders all have that compliance, and that's basically what you're paying for, you know, when you're going to these providers. If you're doing it yourself, it's very expensive. As for reconciling, if you have multiple cloud systems that you're kind of integrating and you need to reconcile, the key in I guess making that happen is through your integrations, because you will need to determine which system is the system of record, and then once you have that, if you need to move data from one system to another within the requirements of your integration, that's basically where you essentially do some of your reconciling work, where, you know, it's either an update or an insert or, you know, things like that. I mean, that gets kind of into the weeds, but there are ways to kind of manage the reconciliation. The nice thing about having, you know, a solution like NetSuite, for example, it is one database, and so things within that system are self-reconciling. But understandably, you're going to have other systems that are going to feed into that, or you're going to feed other systems with your ERP, and within your integration, the Bloomy tool allows you to kind of do some of that, and then there's other ways that you can actually accomplish that reconciliation.
Thank you. And we appreciate everyone's great input there. We are running low on time, so if we didn't get your questions, we will have them answered directly. Please join us at performative.com to continue this discussion. And if you do have any questions on CPE, just email us at cpe.performative. We will have one polling question right at the end. I want to remind everyone about CFO Dimensions coming up in New York. We hope to see you there. Also, I want to thank NetSuite, Raghu, Mike, Mark, and Lester for their great content today. It was very, very valuable, and I really thank NetSuite for sponsoring this webinar. And now I will bring up our last polling question. It'll be the third and final polling question. You should see that on your screen in just moments here. Should be coming up. Here you go. And I would like to thank you, the audience, for your time. Again, after we close down the webinar, you'll be prompted to take a short survey. If we can ask you to please participate so we may get better and deliver the right type of content to you, we'd really appreciate it. There, you will also have an opportunity to request a connection with any one of our speakers, or an introduction to NetSuite, or a request for more information on CFO Dimensions with a click of your mouse. Thank you again. We hope to see you at another Performative event or online at performative.com. Please get your last answers in our last polling question, as this concludes our presentation. Have a great rest of your day.